Who is the most important, no, famous, no, most powerful person ever kept prisoner here in the Tower of London? I bet you don't know.
William Wallace, maybe?
Thomas More?
Anne Boleyn.
Guy Fawkes.
Oh, you have to go with Sir Walter Raleigh, and that's not just because I live in Raleigh, North Carolina.
No, and he didn't discover the potato either.
Rudolph Hess.
The Two Princes.
No. It was the President of the United States of America, the only American ever incarcerated in the Tower. Welcome to Talehouse. The Tower of London is named after the White Tower there, built by William the Conqueror in the 1070s. It's expanded over the years and it's held everything from soldiers to kings and now the crown jewels. But most people, when they think of the Tower of London, consider it a deadly prison. And for our man, Henry Lawrence, the President of the United States, it certainly was. Let's go find out. Henry Lawrence was leader of the Second Continental Congress. He took over from John Hancock in 1777, only 6 months after the Declaration of Independence was issued. Unfortunately, he was president for just 1 year, having lost a vote of no confidence. But by the end of the 1770s, he remained leader of the wealthiest state in America and the most recent president of the body that opposed British rule there. So, how did he end up here? Well, Henry Lawrence was the perfect man for an important mission, to take a treaty to the Dutch, securing an enormous loan to enable the Americans to continue the war. Here, off the coast of Newfoundland, after a 5-hour chase, he was unfortunately captured by the British frigate HMS Vestal. In a panic, he threw the documents overboard. But he forgot to perforate the bag, and him and the documents were captured. Captain's log. HMS Vestal, 1780, off the coast of North America. Here, Captain Keppel, on the 3rd of September 1780, records the chase and capture of the packet ship Mercury and the capture of the late President of America and Member of Congress, Henry Lawrence. Henry Lawrence was brought to London on the 5th of October. All the papers captured with him were bound into 18 volumes for perusal by the government. The British were convinced they would find treason amongst them. He was interviewed that very day before the 3 foreign secretaries, Lords Stormont, Hillsborough and Germain. In those days, the Foreign Secretary's office was so large, it was divided into 3 parts, the Northern, Southern and Americas. They accused him of treason, but Lawrence declared he hadn't signed the Declaration of Independence. The treaty they found with him was not seen by Congress and was not signed by the Dutch authorities, and therefore he had done nothing wrong. They thought treason anyway, and they committed him to the Tower that very night. This is the Constable of the Tower's book, and in it is the very letter that records Henry Lawrence's incarceration from the Foreign Secretaries that very night. That night was to be the first of the next 15 months incarcerated here in the Tower of London without charge and without trial for Henry Lawrence. But they didn't keep him here. Oh no. They kept him here in relative comfort next to the Constable of the Tower's residence. The governor at the time, a man called Gore, did his level best to make life miserable for him, though, waking him that very first morning to the tune of Yankee Doodle Dandy to mock him, and giving him a copy of Charles Drelincourt's Death, which was a Christian guidebook to prepare yourself to die.
Yankee Doodle went to town riding on a pony. He stuck a feather in his hat and called it macaroni.
Gore made his life as miserable as he could. He was frequently denied writing materials so that he couldn't communicate with anybody outside. He was rarely admitted a visitor, and at one point Gore confined him to his cell for 81 straight days. When he was ill, he was only attended to by the surgeon of the soldiers' barracks stationed there. However, it wasn't all bad. Henry Lawrence records in his diary weekly deliveries of wine, 27 bottles every week, for the entire 15 months of his incarceration. That is enough for me And you. Unbeknownst to him, his freedom was soon to be orchestrated by a man who has his statue here at the heart of the British establishment in St Paul's Cathedral, Lord Cornwallis, commander of the British troops in America. But the killjoys who run this place won't let us film him. So let's go for a pint and I'll tell you how it all happened. You see, Lord Cornwallis surrendered to the Americans at Yorktown on the 19th of October 1781. A month later, the news reaches England on the 25th of November. And a week after that, Edmund Burke presents a petition to the Prime Minister Lord North in Parliament on behalf of Henry Lawrence requesting his freedom. And at the end of December, Henry Lawrence is indeed freed. So Henry Lawrence, having engaged Burke to petition on his behalf, presents himself as the author of his own freedom. And indeed, it does look that way. But through a curious twist of fate that sometimes only history can throw up, we can tell you different. You see, amongst the many roles that Lord Cornwallis had, he was officially the commander of the Tower of London. So, Henry Lawrence is officially his prisoner. Now, when he surrenders at Yorktown, he is handed over to the man in charge of prisoners captured by the American army. That man turns out to be the son of Henry Lawrence, a man called John Lawrence. So now we have the curious situation that has come about where Lord Cornwallis is now the prisoner of the son of his own prisoner. Naturally, a deal was to be struck here. But here, our story takes a very sad turn. Henry Lawrence was too unwell to return home to America immediately, and in the time that it took him to do so, his son died at the Battle of Combahee River, one of the very last actions of the American War of Independence. Henry Lawrence then never met his son again and never realized who the true author of his freedom really was. So there you have it. Henry Lawrence, the President of the United States. He knew he'd been exchanged for Lord Cornwallis, and he thought he had been instrumental in petitioning for it. Now, he was free. Don't forget to subscribe. You can click on this button here to subscribe, and we have a podcast available on iTunes. Go now. Must be Anne Boleyn.